4th, 2013, and the StephenBlakesley.com podcast is back. On today's podcast, we will talk to Michael Self to preview this weekend's NASCAR K&N Pro Series West doubleheader at Iowa Speedway and the I-44 Speedway. But first, a look at the racing results from over the weekend. Friday night saw the Ocean Sprints presented by Taco Bravo in Round 7 at Ocean Speedway, Watsonville. Steven Tyner set fast time on the night and started 8th out of the 22-car field. The early laps of the feature were led by Mr. Excitement Andy Forsberg before 2012 Series champion Shane Golobic and Tommy Tarleton took over the top 2 spots. The race boiled over on lap 22 when Tarleton dove underneath Golobic with possible contact in turn 3, and Golobic spun. Golobic retired with a flat left rear tire, and Tarleton pulled away for the win. Brandon Bud Kading overhauled Forsberg for second place as well. Tarleton was defiant in victory lane when asked about the Golobic incident.
There was an incident? He lifted and I didn't. Just woo, right by him. Right? Like Ricky Bobby. If he ain't first, you're last, right? I had a ton of fun. I don't get to race as much as I like to, and I'm just happy to be out here, put on a show for you fans, and it's a blast. Paul Baines gives me a great car. My dad gives me great stuff.
On Saturday night, the Kern County Raceway Park again hosted the NASCAR Citgo Lubricants late models for a twin 35-lap contest, and once again it was David Mayhew and Eric Richardson going toe-to-toe. Mayhew outlasted Richardson to win the first 35-lap event in another side-by-side duel. The win was Mayhew's 4th already in the young season at the brand-new half-mile track. The second 35 saw Richardson lead Mayhew throughout the caution-free race, with Mayhew taking several looks to the inside, but he could not complete the deal. Eric Richardson claimed the emotional win and did a Polish victory lap in celebration. Other winners at Kern County Raceway Park on Saturday included Eric Dalton in the debut of the NASCAR Spec Modifieds and Johnny Wood on the quarter mile in the debut of the NASCAR Mini Stocks. Dalton's modified win paid $1,000. The big show on Saturday night was arguably the USAC Western Midgets and the Civil War Sprint Cars at Placerville Speedway. Fremont's Shane Golobic made up for his Ocean Sprints misfortunes by topping the 25-car turnout to win the Midgets. In the Civil War race, Andy Gregg stormed from 7th starting position to take the victory, with Golobic second and Sean Becker rounding out the podium finishers. Other racing on Saturday night included the Spears SRL Southwest Tour making their series debut at Eureka's Redwood Acres Raceway, where Jim Pettit won the 125-lap event that was minus incoming points leader Derek Thorne. NASCAR modified features at All-American Speedway were split by Jason Bamberg and Jay Lindstroff yet again as well on Saturday. The Unlimited Racing Association held the Don Blair Cup for non-wing 410 sprint cars on the dirt at Orange Show Stadium, with Dynamite David Carney winning over a 25-car turnout. This weekend, the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West will race at Iowa Speedway in an East-West combination race, and then move on to I-44 Speedway in Missouri 2 days later in a busy doubleheader. Also on tap, the Ocean Sprints presented by Taco Bravo will stage the 8th race of their 2013 series on Friday, and Saturday the Kern County Raceway Park will host the Citgo late models, Southwest Tour trucks, NX Legends, and NX Bandoleros. We will have live Twitter coverage on the Twitter handle at Stephen Blakesley from Ocean on Friday, and Kern County Raceway's Twitter and Facebook will have live updates on Saturday. And we're back on the StephenBlakesley.com podcast, and we're talking to Michael Self, who won the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West event in Brainerd, Minnesota 2 weeks ago, and is looking forward to a big doubleheader weekend with that series. And Michael, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Stephen. Always a pleasure.
So let's first talk about that race 2 weeks ago on the road course, your second straight win at that venue. In fact, you've won both races for the series at that venue. Tell us about your race on Saturday, and tell us just what makes you so good there.
Oh, well, I mean, Brainerd, for some reason, that place is just starting to feel like home to me. Just being on the road courses is always nice. We picked up something on Brainerd last year that really just kind of stayed with me, and we had such a dominant performance coming kind of from the back to the front last year. I knew going into the race that we were going to be strong. We had the same car. We were very good in practice. It was just another one of those races where you have to conserve your stuff a little bit, and really in these big cars on these road courses, just focus on hitting your marks and keeping the car in one piece, keeping the fenders on it, And it seemed like for some reason on Saturday, just really keep all four tires on the track and stay out of debris, because we saw a lot of flats that race. It took quite a couple cars, quite a few good cars out of contention. And we just managed to do that and put all those things together as the Golden Gate Racing Team has done what seemed like so many times for me over the past 12 months and the past 13 or 14 races. And it's just been a good, comfortable, little bit of a spree here. So I love the track. The folks up at Brainerd International have done a great job with that place, and hopefully getting the chance to go back next year with what sounds like are going to be a couple of track improvements is something to look forward to.
And I guess for a guy like you who's coming out of Utah, and just about every race you go to is going to require a flight anyway, so it probably doesn't really impact you having to do all this travel. But I'm just wondering, from your point of view, what do you think of the fact that the series, you look at your schedule and you're going from Minnesota to Iowa to Missouri over about a 2-week period? That's a kind of interesting travel schedule for a West Series.
Well, I'm a big-time traveler. I love that portion of it. You know, I get a little bit of cabin fever sometimes here, staying in Salt Lake too often. So what's great is my other job with Miller Motorsports Park, being a driving instructor for their Ford Racing high-performance driving school. I get to do a lot of traveling for them, and then especially a lot of that on top of it. So I guess it's a good thing that I like traveling, and I think this weekend is going to be fun. I'm really, really looking forward to going back to Iowa and putting on a strong performance there, and then just spending a little bit of bonding time with the team there on Saturday, driving down to Missouri and figuring that place out and see if we can get ourselves just a little bit closer to the lead of this championship.
And if we look a little bit more globally at how you've been doing over the last about 12 months or so, I mean, your results are pretty dang good. You had 3 runner-up finishes in a late model over the last 12 months. You had the late model win at the Las Vegas Bull Ring. Now this is your 4th K&N win during that time period. What has it been for you guys? I mean, I know that one of the big things for you guys was that you didn't have a lot of stock car experience, and it's taken you a couple of years to get that under your belt. But it sure seems like this last year or so has really been quite successful for you.
I have to give about 80% of my accomplishments and everything that we've done. I mean, I've got to give so much to Steve Portengay and everything that he's taught me. Having someone like Steve to learn from has been so big for my career. Just exactly like you said, learning these cars, figuring out how to drive them a little bit better, figuring out these tracks a little bit quicker, and just getting to that point where I'm very comfortable every time we get off the trailer, whether it's a new track or a track we've been to, or I'm just comfortable with the car and I know I can get it to the limit. And Steve, spending time with him really helped me get to that point, listening to his stories of his past racing, listening to all the knowledge that he has. He's an incredible crew chief, and when he's on the box, you know, I know I can be assured that the car is going to be very, very good. So the whole Golden Gate Racing Team crew has just stepped everything up. I know every time we get to the track, we're going to have a front running car off the trailer. So that takes that whole equation out of it and just leaves me to do my job, which is driving and keeping the car clean and being up front at the end of the race.
And you go into Iowa Speedway this weekend, and of course the big storyline on that thing is this whole East versus West. You guys were the top West Series car last August, and you talked about that a little bit in the NASCAR press release, that you're not going to be content with just being the top West guy. You would like to take that overall East win as well. What's that going to take for you guys to be able to do that?
I feel like the West Series, especially us at the Golden Gate Racing Team, have made some big moves and some big jumps over the last 12 months. What was really big for us was the win at Phoenix in November, having a couple of the top running East cars there and beating those guys and putting on a pretty stout performance, leading the entire race. And that opened up, just really opened our eyes as far as, you know, we can do this and we can run on these big mile tracks. There's just something about the banking in Iowa we've got to figure out a little bit more. And I think we've got that. I know we can go in and have a very good long run car this weekend. We always seem to. And if we can get some good long green flag runs here, this 150-lap race, I think we can get this car up front and keep it up there. So if you look back, even at Daytona, West cars were the only cars that led throughout the entire weekend, both all practice sessions, qualifying, the heat races, and then the main race. Myself, the 26 car, and Derek Thorne were really the only cars right up front. So I think we're figuring this out in our style of racing is getting a little closer to these East guys. And I think we can go into Iowa this weekend, figure out this tire from Goodyear a little more, and put on a strong performance up there to keep our car up at the front, as opposed to just up inside that top 10.
And I think the more interesting thing on the weekend is this kind of unique deal. You guys are going to go over to Lebanon I-44 Speedway on Sunday afternoon and do a little bit of battle on a 3/8 mile track that I guess is being described as sort of having some similarities to Las Vegas. But when you go back to Daytona, that was a track that was new for everyone on your circuit, and you guys had a lot of success there. And I think it's kind of a benchmark if you're a top team that you can really persevere on a neutral track where no one has any experience, and you guys can come out there and get a good run. So I have to think you must be looking forward to proving yourself over there in Missouri.
I love going to the new tracks. I really do, because one of my points where I've always taken pride is my ability to adapt to new tracks from back in the karting days. So I've heard little things here and there about the track, like being similar to Las Vegas, and we've always had really good, strong runs there in the super late model in the K&N car. And we're taking the same car that we had there at Daytona, same car that we ran at Stockton, and our primary short track car, which always runs really well for us and is always a contending car. So I'm excited to go there and learn the place. We got a lot of practice. NASCAR has done a great job giving us that extra practice there on Saturday night to figure the track out a little bit, and it should be a fun track. You know, it's a little bit new for everybody, but I think we're looking forward to going in there and just focused on getting that short track win, which has kind of evaded us for a while now.
And I know a lot of the fans like to get an idea of sort of the behind the scenes. So I know for Sunrise Ford and Derek Thorne, they're going to try to run the same car at both Iowa and Lebanon I-44, although those tracks could not be any more different. What's the game plan for you guys over there at Golden Gate Racing?
Going a little bit of a different route. We're going to take our primary speedway car, which is the car that I won at Iowa with and the car that I won Phoenix with, and then the car that I placed third at Phoenix with back in February. And we're going to take a different chassis of ours, the car that I ran Daytona with and Stockton, which is our short track car. So our two primary speedway and short track cars we're taking in there with us, and we're going for wins, man. We're going to do everything we can to get those cars up to the front and both of those races and see if we can come out on top.
And I think the last thing I want to touch on with you, outside of your K&N stuff, you've also, like you said, been doing some driving school activities over there at Miller Motorsports Park. But also you got the opportunity to race at Kern County Raceway Park a couple weeks ago in their Pro Late Model opener. What was that whole experience like, getting to race at a big half-mile in Bakersfield again?
Well, for me, it was a new experience. I never got the chance to run there at Mesa. All I hear are the stories and the people just bragging on how great Mesa was, and I think Kern did every job it needed to, everything that it needed to meet the expectations that were put on by Mesa years ago. We had a great run out there in our super late model, came away with a strong second place finish there against Derek Thorne, David Mayhew, Ryan Reed. I mean, I think, Stephen, I think I heard yourself say that 4 of the drivers in that field were actually K&N winners. So really, it's without a doubt the best late model competition out here on the West Coast, and looking forward to getting back there. I think what's going to be next weekend for the next late model race.
Yeah, it's on June 15th, and we're looking forward to having you guys out there. I always have to get a little bit of a word in about that racetrack. You know, I mean, I'm very well involved in it, and it's got to be quite a place to have on the West Coast for a guy like yourself.
I'm so excited for the K&N race there, because it's just that kind of track where it's going to put on some incredible. It's just like a miniature Iowa. It races the exact same way. So that race, when that comes around in October, is definitely going to be one to see. And for now, I'm looking forward to seeing a couple of the changes that I hear they're making out to the track and getting out there in our super late model, and hoping to impress the good number of fans that they've had out there. I understand limited late model racing has been pretty stout the last 2 weeks, so see if we can get out there, get a couple more super lates out there, and put on the same kind of show.
Well, this is our first podcast in a couple of weeks, and we want to thank Michael Self for coming on and getting the wheels turning again. And good luck this weekend against those East guys over there at Iowa Speedway.
Thanks, Stephen. I appreciate it. We'll show you guys how we do it out in the West.
We want to thank you for tuning in to this edition of the StephenBlakesley.com podcast. After taking several weeks off to work on the development of Kern County Raceway Park, it feels good to be back with another podcast. And thanks again to our guest, Michael Self, and good luck to the K&N West guys as they go head-to-head with the East guys at Iowa Speedway this weekend. A reminder that Friday night we will have live Twitter updates from the Ocean Sprints presented by Taco Bravo on the Twitter handle at Stephen Blakesley. And for the best in short track racing news, you can follow us on our website, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you at the races.